was awful. I had a really terrible radio voice. I'd like to do this whispering thing. Hey everybody, welcome back to Horton Radio. You know, you do this weird thing when you don't know how to do radio. You think that's how you need to sound.
How should you sound?
Normal, just like this. But some people just start to go a bit strange. Just happens.
Hi, and welcome to A Class of Their Own podcast, revealing the human stories behind their name. We will hear honest and intimate reflections from our guests who, despite their circumstances, shape a world that reflects their unique visions of success. Join me, Mira Magecha, to learn from these inspirational people and take the first step to make your own change. On today's episode, we're joined by Jack Suddaby. Hi, Jack.
Hello.
How are you?
Fantastic.
I'm going to start without doing a bit of an intro and just go straight in. Who is Jack?
He's a loud, silly person who is driven and has done what he wants to do for a majority of his life and wants to make stuff all the time and likes new things.
New things,
yeah.
Is silly.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that word silly. Why call yourself silly?
I just think it's it just sums me up, I think. It's like you don't take yourself too seriously. You're not too worried necessarily about what other people think about you. And you're just you're prepared. You're happy to keep things light, you know? I think I'm quite light. I like the light side of life all the time. And I can be serious for sure, like when I need to be. But I think I'd like to be seen as someone that's silly and just a bit more carefree and fun.
Yeah.
I just think it's really important. And my friendship group is all fun. You know, we all just have so much fun all the time. And that's what I want my life to be like.
Yeah.
So that's why I see myself as that.
It's really interesting because as you're saying that, I'm like, I want to be more silly. I want to have more fun.
Right.
And I called my business Play for Change on the basis that play became a really important part, but play, which is more serious, play, which is more experimentation, being more creative, allowing myself to let go. But I've still got that real serious side. And I can kind of see something similar in you as well.
Yeah.
But a much younger version. Luckily. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for reminding me that I aged.
So you think I'm going to get more serious as time goes on? It'll sort of be bottled and like kept inside.
Don't.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen, but maybe it will.
Yeah, don't let society dictate that you have to become more serious because actually, do you?
No.
What for? You can still be a real serious professional and do what you want and make something of your life if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But you could do that with fun and laughter, whereas I was too busy getting old and wanting to be older.
I also think that I've been lucky enough to sort of be in the job, be in a job that I've really wanted to do since I was like 19, which is like radio and podcasting. So I kind of found where I was immediately in my career. And so I've never had to have that thing where you kind of mask a little bit to try. You're basically copying the people around you and trying to be like the people around you so you can fit in and move up the ranks or whatever. But because I was so removed, like started in local radio where people were 40, 30 years, 50 years old, and I was 19. It was too hard. I couldn't be like that.
Yeah.
And so I just was myself, and it kind of made me shine more. I noticed, I could feel it. I was just like, okay, I'm actually standing out more, and that's kind of what you want anyway. That's what you're aiming for. So I think that habit just stayed with me.
I love it.
And obviously sometimes you have to be a little bit more serious. Sometimes. But you notice like the top CEOs of companies, they're coming in flip-flops and shorts, and it's kind of all a bit of a status game at work, right? And they wearing flip-flops and shorts because they can be relaxed. Not all CEOs, but there are some, especially in creative fields, that do that. And it's because they can show that side of them, and it's fine because they're the boss. And I like that. I like that you can do that. And that's kind of that's the sort of ethos that I've got.
Where did Jack grow up? Where did you grow up? What did you do? What was life like growing up?
I grew up in Kent for till I was 8. All the baby videos were like, all right, mummy, can I have a banana? And then I moved to Northamptonshire. My dad got made redundant. So we moved to Northampton. Yeah, so we could get more jobs, like right in the centre. and then grew up in like a tiny village, like 100 people, 200 people, really small. And then my parents divorced when I was like 10. And so I moved around a few times around there. My dad moved a few times and my mum just moved to the village next door. And then I kind of grew up most of my life there.
And did you see your mum and dad growing up?
Yeah, so I live with my mum and then I see my dad every 2 weeks, which every like second weekend, which at the time felt normal because you just do what you're told. But actually looking back, I'm like, that's not very much.
Yeah.
I basically saw my dad like 20 odd times a year.
Yeah.
You know, it's really so small for 5 years or so. So, yeah, I definitely think I thought that was a bit odd looking back. But yeah, loads of time with mum and not as much with dad. But then they got back together. So
your mum and dad got back together?
Yeah. So they divorced when I was 15. No, they divorced when I was 10 and then moved out and did the whole thing and a bunch of boyfriends and then one day me and my sisters got 2 twin sisters.
You've got 2 twin sisters?
Yeah, they're twins. They're my younger
okay.
sister.
I thought they were
I always explain that wrong every time. They're like, I'm like, I've done it again. Yeah, so 2 sisters, they're twins, younger than me. And we came into Dad's house the weekend. He was like, hey, do you mind if we just sit down in the living room? So we all sit down and Mum sat there on the other sofa. And we're going, this isn't normal. What's going on here? And Mum turned to us all and she was like, so me and your dad were getting back together. And we had no idea.
No idea whatsoever.
No.
You were 15, you said?
Yeah. Maybe 14, 15. So they were like sending notes to each other, like little love letters, apparently. Mum was like, I've still got feelings for you, whatever. And then they started meeting up in secret, apparently. And I guess it makes sense because you wouldn't want to bring the kids back in and then tell them it's not working out. So I kind of, it's fine. And I was gutted when they got back together. It was so sad.
Why?
I think you just process. You've processed the breakup and you're like, you've gone through that pain and trauma. And I just felt like, God, I'm going to have to do this again. You know, I'm used to this change now.
This life.
And it's all flipped. It's going back in. And it was just, I just think I was scared, to be honest, you know. It's quite a big thing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they moved back in and then they lived with each other for years. And then they moved house a few years ago. So, yeah.
They split up again.
Yeah, and then they split up again. Yeah, they split up last year. Yeah. They, I don't know. I don't think either of them had a very good framework of love when they were growing up. My his dad ran away, and his dad and his mum. I love her. She's amazing. She's still around, Nanny Mer. She's a legend. But I don't know if she gave him loads of attention when he was growing up. And my mum's side, her dad died when she was 18. And so I didn't have that. And I think her relationship with my grandma wasn't the best. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
And so none of them really knew how to love or give love or receive it. And I think, to be honest with you, when they got back together, it was exciting and fun. And, you know, everyone knows how to be excited and have fun. But actually to do the loving bit takes real work and practice and probably learning and seeing stuff, seeing how love works. Yeah. Man, and like the amount of, I used to like go around other friends' houses and see the parents and like without realizing it, I'm just kind of like learning. I say it to my friends all the time who are in like long-term relationships, like I'm learning from them all the time. Not going like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to write that down.
I'm going to take notes of what's working or what I like or what I don't like.
You know, but you just see it. You see actions and like sacrifices and all that stuff, which I don't think I really necessarily saw that much. Or just like how to have an argument. Never really saw that. It was just like an argument. You know, I had a few drinks and yelling and then nothing gets resolved. And so, yeah, I just think that's it really. They haven't really got the portfolio or to fully learn. And so I think that's why it ultimately ended again. Yeah.
And because you're now much older than when you were 10 and then 15 when they got back together. What are you processing, if anything, as a result of them splitting up again? How does that feel as an adult going through that the second time round?
Yeah, it was sad. It was definitely sad. It was so odd, man, because like my head was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense actually, because like they're not really in love. Like you go around and they were in different rooms. They'd be drinking a lot. Like they weren't seeing each other. It was sort of like, yeah, okay, it's not love that I've heard of or seen in my friends and other friends' parents. But then my heart was like, oh God, it's so sad. Like they just moved to this like forever home in North Wales. It was stunning, like this really beautiful little patch of the world, and I just romanticized about it completely, you know. And obviously I told myself and other people for 10 years that the story that I just told you about them getting back together. And people would always ask as well afterwards, like, and are they happy? Are they in love now? And I would always say, yeah, I would, even though I knew not really, but I would always say yeah, because it was a great story.
Yeah.
And I think I believed that story. And so it was sort of like, you know, I had to sort of untell myself that. And it was difficult, man. I decided to go to therapy afterwards because I was like, well, basically from all the stuff I've just told you, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I actually haven't got this framework
For yourself.
Yeah, like I don't want to be repeating this. And I'm sure I've picked up a bunch of stuff, you know, definitely have. And at the same time as well, I'd just broken up with my girlfriend. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And so I thought, okay, let's do some therapy. And that was just like so good.
Was it a good thing that you found the therapist and went through the process and did some healing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. I was always like, no, like I don't need therapy. I think about this stuff all the time. I'm like always processing it. Like I don't need that. Like I'm smart enough to figure it all out. And my mate said that to me the other day, and I just laughed because it was exactly what I said before. But it's not really about that. It's not about like how smart you are or how good you are at like trying to figure it out. Because you can do that, and some people are like more emotionally intelligent and can figure stuff. Of course, but there is unbelievable benefit of just going into a room with basically a stranger who you're paying as well to listen and ask you questions, and you know who you know is a professional, to just dig and dig. And it took me ages, man, to get to somewhere good. Like I was complaining for the first like 5 or 6 sessions about how I wasn't getting enough from it. I was like, I need more, like blah blah blah. And then eventually it just sort of cracked, and I was having to it's like therapy is like Pandora's box, because once it's opened, it's out, and it's often quite painful.
Yeah.
And then you have to actually accept it. And that was for me anyway. Like I was just rose tinting loads of stuff that happened in my childhood and to today. And then did this therapy, opened this box. I'm like, oh, I don't even know. I don't want it to be open. Yeah.
I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah, like where did it come from? And I don't want it about, really. Like it's annoying now. I have to sort of see them not in like this amazing rose light. And then but it's been good because as time's gone on, I've just been way more aware of the past and how it's implicating me in the decisions I make, and it makes life a lot more comfortable, and it's brought me and my sisters a lot closer as well.
How's it helped with your relationship with your sisters?
I think we've bonded a lot more because we have. Sorry, do you want to?
No, go on.
Because we have now got the shared pain. I guess that's first of all. You know, you share
a shared experience.
Yeah, you share an experience and a pain. And I think it brings you together.
Yeah.
It is actually. I've actually got a theory about. I feel like women are really good at bonding, and I think and this might be completely off, by the way, but because they all have a period once a month, right? They have a shared pain that they can talk about. Blokes don't have that pain, really.
You don't want to have a period.
No, I definitely don't. Oh my God, I tried one of those simulators.
Did you?
They are wild. They are so painful. I got to, there's like 10 levels. I got to level 3. I was screaming and crying.
Wow.
I was like, get it off. Now I had a whole big respect for periods now.
I love
my
that.
God. Yeah, massive respect. But yeah, so the pain brought me and my sisters together for sure. And communication has been better as well. We were terrible at communicating. And now we're a lot better.
And because you are an older sibling and they're twins, was there something, and they're both girls and you're a boy, Was there something about the dynamics growing up about, well, they're girls, they're born in the same time, they know each other, they get to know each other, like in a way that you don't? Was there a really complicated dynamic between the three of you growing up?
Yeah, I don't think it was complicated, but it was quite simple, really. They hung out all the time, and I was on my own a lot.
Okay.
That was basically it. Like, they would play games and do their thing, and then I would be in my bedroom doing my thing.
What's the age difference?
2 years.
Okay.
It's not massive, but because they were twins, they were like super tight. And I just wanted, and also I just felt like, I don't know, maybe that was what made me want to be really independent, possibly, because I've always sort of searched for a lot of independence. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was having a single mum, no dad around, no bloke in my life really, except for me.
Yeah.
Especially a teenager, you know, it's quite like you do divide in genders, I think, when you're a teenager, the early teenage years and the later. I guess maybe it comes with like trying to forge your identity a bit. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong, but I've always, in school, it felt quite divided.
Yeah. I think I remember being at, well, a long time ago, being at school around 10, 11, and that was when boys and girls got on, and then all of a sudden there was this split of, no, that's boys' thing, that's girls' thing. No, girls smell, boys smell, girls do their own thing. And you kind of split for a couple of years and then you all come back together.
Yeah.
Because then it's who's going out with who and who's doing what. Crazy world of teenage puberty
I'm
life.
glad I'm out of that age, man. Long. It's just long, isn't it? You just have to like, I was just so insecure trying to be something. And no one really knows who they are. You're all kind of emulating your parents or trying to be something you're not. I don't know. It's just quite stress and long, I think, as a teenager.
But you also think you know everything because
Yeah.
you want that independence and you want that freedom. And so I am older and mature enough to know exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
What was school like?
My school was not great, but I had a great time. I was it was a normal state school. A lot of all of the best teachers, it felt like, would leave and go to the local private school. So I built up this sort of resentment for private schools growing up. Now I've got loads of mates who go to private school and they're lovely. And so, you know, it kind of flipped it in my head. But before, I just sort of hated all of that because we lost our best teachers. But school, I loved it. I always remember thinking at school, I'm never going to get this opportunity to like go in and have this fun time with all my mates and learn stuff. And if I don't want to engage, I can just sit there. And if I do, I can engage. Like, great. Like, where am I going to do this in the future? I really, from like 12, I used to think that. I think people would say it as they're older and I just listened and I was like, okay, I'll take that.
So you were quite perceptive as a kid?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, yeah. I really was. So, yeah, but I basically got in trouble loads. But never that bad because I kind of charmed my way out of it.
Of course you did.
You did a little bit of charming.
I could feel that you have a charm.
Yeah. Just a bit, enough to sort of get out. You know, I sort of enjoyed that part of it, like standing outside and waiting for the teacher to come in. And then you had to be like, come on, you don't want to give me an after school. Like, you don't want to wait after school. You've got stuff to do. And basically, I was never that naughty. I was just loud, really loud. And so I'd be talking as much as everyone else, but louder than everyone else. And then I realized basically a couple of years ago that I've got ADHD, and it was unbelievably prevalent through my whole teenage years and, well, till now. And people would tell me at school all the time, have you got ADHD? And I would just bat it off because I didn't want to be put in a box.
Okay.
And we had a kid in our year who had ADHD, and we were told that he had ADHD. And it's the only thing I knew about ADHD growing up. And he was like much more severe. So he would throw tables around. It was a lot more chaotic. And so I was like, I don't want to be that. I'm not throwing tables around. I'm not, you know, I didn't think there was a spectrum.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just didn't ever want to get diagnosed. Being pretty good though. I would have got like free laptops and stuff. I think you get some pretty good perks at school. So I should have cashed in.
That's why you wanted to get diagnosed.
Yeah.
What happened post-school?
Is it work-wise?
Study-wise, what did you do after school?
So I knew I wanted to do radio when I was 15. It's a good story, actually. It's
How?
quite cute. I was in hospital. My sister was in hospital. She was ill. And someone came up to her and they asked if she wanted to do a request for the hospital radio show. So she requested Barbie Girl, and they played Barbie Girl through the radio, and I was so happy, and everyone in the family was happy, and I just thought, what a great job. You like play songs, everyone likes you get to talk. I like all of those things. So I will do that. So literally from that age, from like 14, 15, I kind of wanted to be an actor before, but never crazy amounts. I was like, I want to do the radio. So I just decided to do the radio. So I'm like 15, I started hospital radio.
In the same hospital your sister was in?
Yeah, Horton Hospital. First opportunity with Stuart Green. Thanks very much, Stuart. Did that for a few years. It was awful. I had a really terrible radio voice. I'd like to do this whispering thing. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Horton Radio. You know, you do this weird thing when you don't know how to do radio. You think that's how you need to sound.
How should you sound?
Normal, just like this. But some people just start to go a bit strange. Just happens. And
So you've got multiple radio voices, I can tell.
Yeah, that's the radio. Yeah.
Okay.
And then did local radio, did a bit there for a few years. And then as soon as I left school, I had a choice of uni or not uni. And this is one of the best conversations I think I've ever had. And I was working in the pub, I was washing up. And I asked my boss, and he owns the pub as well. He's super successful. The pub was super successful. He did not need to be in the kitchen working. So I really admired his like work ethic. And I asked him, do you think I should go to uni? Should I go to do history? And he said, to be honest with you, Jack, if I had two people's CVs and one person spent 3 years doing a degree and getting the same degree as a lot of other people in that area, or another person in those 3 years went out of their way to carve their own experience, look for work experiences in radio or whatever it was, and create their own content, I would always pick that second person because it shows they've got an initiative. It shows they've got initiative and they've got drive, and it actually shows them something different than just a number. And I was like, sold. Then cool, don't need to go to uni because I was already doing the radio stuff. So I just didn't go, and then got an apprenticeship like a year later at the BBC. So it's pretty good, actually. Worked out.
That's amazing. And where did you end up working in terms of the BBC?
BBC Oxford. It was their first apprenticeship scheme.
Right.
So we had an apprentice for every single local radio station. And they thought it was a good idea to put like loads of 19, 20-year-olds in a hotel for 6 weeks in Birmingham. And we went wild.
So you had your university...
Big time.
For those 6 weeks.
Imagine, we had a uni experience, but instead of coming home to your bedroom and it was destroyed and really messy and you got to I've got to figure this out. We came back to a hotel, bed made, hotel room clean, fry up in the morning. It was amazing. We had the best time. Man. Yeah, it was sick. So good.
What were your biggest learnings from apprenticeship scheme? Apart from someone else will make up your beds and you'll have a fry up in the morning after the hangover.
Oh, there's a lot. I think a big one was when I made a massive mistake during it. Someone asked if I wanted to do the controls, the buttons for the radio when we had one of the presenters come in. He was like a big name at the BBC. He's called Will Go. I can't remember his name now. But he's like the head of art. So it's kind of like a BBC big deal. He has a Sunday show and he asked if I could do the buttons. I said, yeah. And I went into one training session and I did it and I kind of knew I'd only learn about 10% really. And they were like, okay, you ready? You ready for doing it? And I was like, yeah, I can do it. Just saying yes. Just like, yes. And the next day, like the day before, I remember I was so anxious. I got in like 2 hours before, like trying to learn everything. And the presenter came in, it's 4 guests on this round table, it's live. And we go to news and immediately I click like 4 wrong buttons. Like completely screw it up. There's silence for 20 seconds. I got so stressed, I was ill for a week afterwards because I was so stressed by it. And it went terribly. They had to get someone else in to do it. And I realized and I've not done it again, if I don't know something, and I actually really don't, I'm just going to say, I'm going to really make sure I know because I don't want that stress again.
You don't need 20 seconds of silence on a radio station.
No. So that was something that stuck in my mind because it was so mad stress. And apprenticeship was good because it gave me a framework to make loads of mistakes. And I sort of wasn't needed in the station. I didn't have a role. I was just like an added person. So I could work across all the shows.
Yeah.
And actually, when it came to the end of the apprenticeship, they kind of gear you up to be an assistant producer for a show. And I didn't really like the job, but I just thought there was not much responsibility. It was just, I don't know, it just wasn't that infused. To be honest, back then, I didn't really think about it that much. I was just like, don't like it, won't do it. And the job came up and I went for a job interview and didn't get the job, which is kind of wild because you're training for it for so long, you don't get it. But it was okay. I kind of knew it. And then I was like, wasn't stressed either. I had a month left and then I would have had to leave Oxford and BBC and probably go back home to parents. And I was like, maybe Facebook was starting up at this time and everyone was making Facebook videos. And I was like, you can do a lot of news on Facebook. Maybe I should just pitch it. So I went to like the whole boss of the whole South region. Just thought it'd be quicker to speak to the big one. And I said, I've got this idea. I'll make Facebook videos because I can film and I like the audio and I can do all the editing. Just give me a job and I'll do that as part of BBC Oxford. So he called me in and we had a meeting the next week and he was like, love the idea. Let's go for it. And so he made this role, which was so cool because it was all me, had no bosses except from him really, who didn't interrupt. So every single day I'd go into the office and I'd go, what do I fancy making today? And I would just make stuff every day. And it made such a niche for me, man, where I could basically had total autonomy. It was like running my own little business inside the BBC.
Yeah.
Total autonomy. And it could be really creative and have loads of fun. And I kind of had taken that mantra into tried to do it in all the jobs I've done in.
And when you say you had complete autonomy, what exactly were you recording, filming for Facebook?
Oh, it was a range of stuff.
Was it internal or external? Externally facing?
Yeah, it was all external.
So it was about BBC Oxford on the Facebook page of BBC Oxford?
It was about Oxford.
Oh, about Oxford generally?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So it was like, look at this fish and chip guy. He takes portraits of his customers behind his shop when they come in. Or like, look at this 88-year-old skater who's doing tricks still on the ice rink. I did like food videos, like they're really popular now.
Literally everything.
Yeah. I did a 24 hours with the police. That was so fun.
Wow.
Yeah, that was so cool. They put the blue lights on. You're going like 70 miles an hour down this. It was sick. Yeah, it was good. But I could just be like, what am I going to do today? And just make it. It was great. Such a good job.
Incredible. But where did you get that drive and almost tenacity to go and ask that question? The confidence to ask that question of just go, let me go do this.
I think I've always just done that. I did that when I was like 15, trying to get the hospital job for radio. Don't know, just confidence. Just got confidence in myself, I think.
You trust yourself. You can do it.
I think so. Yeah. Mum would always, I don't know, people would just praise me when I was younger about doing stuff. I made like a war film when I was 15 with my mate. We never finished it, but we filmed a lot of scenes. And people would praise us all the time for it. And we made posters, we put them around the school. And I just remember, people praise me and I just would soak it up. I'd be like, I like this. I think a lot of it comes down to is I like the attention.
You like the attention.
I like the attention. And so when it feels good, I want to do more of it. And so maybe that's where the confidence comes from. So then when I'm pitching for stuff, I just feel confident.
What was the last thing you didn't have the confidence for?
Good question. Nice. Ooh. I'm seeing scale at the moment. Jumping into a relationship. Scary. Very scary.
Why?
Just scared, Scary. I've just sort of was in a bad one for about a year. Well, it was 4 years, but last year was not great. The whole parent thing, the framework thing, just scared of the commitment, scared of, just scared of the commitment, of it going wrong. I think when I think of a relationship, I just see my parents one. And I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know? It's like if someone made a job advert. You're trying to apply for a job and you see a promo video and it's like, oh, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah.
They're arguing all the time at this office. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're that happy. I'm not going to apply.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what's going on in their head. So I'm having to tell myself, like, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
promo
And remembering
video.
everything you've done in therapy and all the work that you've already done.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I am. Yeah. And it's okay. I think it's just I'm just like slowly going into it. I'm scared, but I think it's going to happen. So it's cool.
And that's where you still got the confidence, because although something is scary, you're going to work through the scariness and the fear of it in order to move it forward and figure out how to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that is a confidence thing, which is great.
Yeah, I guess so.
This episode is brought to you by Play for Change. Play for Change brings together leadership coaching, expert facilitation, and builds communities. They help craft real connections, spark learning, and turn play into powerful experiments to enable better relationships with yourself and others around you. To find out more, go to playforchange.co.uk. Links are in the show notes below. What do you do today?
So I run a podcast production company and this studio space.
Yay! It's such a beautiful studio space. Like, honestly,
You don't have to say
love.
that.
I know,
I'm here.
but I do love this
But you
space.
do have to say it. It would have been pretty awkward if you didn't.
Absolutely amazing space.
This is why you should go on the socials of A Class of Their Own and watch the video content so you can experience the beauty of it as well.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. This has been a big stress.
Okay. How did this come about, though?
So I did BBC for 7 years in podcasting, radio, video, sort of the whole thing, moved around a lot. And then left a couple of years ago, started a production company where I'd make podcasts and videos for podcasts and all kinds of things. Got freelancers on to do bits here and there, and it's going well. And I produced a bunch of like top 10 podcasts, ones that did really well. The main one was called Newlyweds with Jamie Lang and Sophia Boo from Made in Chelsea, and I was doing loads of other stuff, James on Radio 1 and a bunch of other stuff. And did really well. It was in top 10. We went on tour. And I kind of just got to a point where I felt like I've done it now. I produce podcasts. I feel like I can do this now forever if I want, and that's great. Or I could do something that's really mine and grow something.
Yeah.
And there is also that thing of like, I don't know if everyone has this, but you kind of in the back of your mind or back of my mind want to do a bit better than my parents did, successfully wise, you know. My dad worked super hard his whole childhood, super working class guy, like really working class guy. Worked really hard and managed to make, you know, got himself a really good job, which he hated, by the way, absolutely hated. But he got, you know, by the end, and now he's kind of gone back and he's like near retirement now, but he was earning a good amount. And so I guess there's that part of me like, I want to
do more.
Which I've done. So that feels good.
When you think back to being younger,
Yeah.
what was success? What were you driving for? So you talk about having a really early ambition from being in the hospital radio and knowing that that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But what was success?
That was it. I just wanted to be on Radio 1.
That was it.
I just wanted to be a Radio 1 presenter. That was it, man. For like 5-6 years. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. But then it got to a point where I was like 24, 5. I just didn't listen to Radio 1. Was never listening to it. And so I just kind of stopped trying. And then I kind of had a conversation with myself where I was like, I'm not listening to the show. I'm listening to loads of podcasts all the time. Maybe I just don't want to be a Radio 1 presenter anymore.
Right.
And that's okay. I kind of just missed the boat, I think, for me. And weirdly enough, as soon as I left the BBC, and I wanted to work at Radio 1, by the way, for years, the whole time, applied loads of times, I left the BBC. A month later, I get ridiculously regular freelance work at Radio 1. I'm like, for God's sake, I got to leave to go back.
Isn't that what they call manifesting?
Yeah.
You manifested it for the last 10 years, and then the minute you no longer wanted it,
Yeah.
it came after you.
So silly.
What does the future hold? What is success going forward?
The first thought was career based, and then the second one was a community. I think that is the most important thing for me.
Okay.
I just really want to make sure that I've got a community of friends, just like we were saying at the start, where we have fun and we love each other and we can be together when it's hard and be together when it's happy and good. That, for me, I think is the most important. I want somewhere that's like in the countryside with my friends. Just, I like the countryside. I like the nature. I like being around trees. It makes me feel really calm.
Yeah.
And I just want to be with mates. I think that's really what I'm aiming for. That's what I want. But then career-wise, I just want to grow this place. I want to keep making stuff, keep making podcasts, and or whatever, really. I don't mind. I think I would just, my interests will change like this all the time.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's cool.
But you've got a base now.
Yeah.
Base in which to grow it and build from and see where that takes you.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
It's really exciting because you haven't been going for, 6 months-ish?
Less than that. Since March, but really open since April.
So I really was one of your first customers.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had like a few bits here and there, but properly, fully running every day. Yeah. So not long, and it's doing amazing. I'm so happy. Lots of people coming in. Like, you coming in and complimenting it, it's like, makes me so happy. Because it's like my baby. It really is.
It is. And you've got great taste in furniture, even though I did complain about these chairs originally. I do love these chairs, just for the record. They just needed a cushion, which we figured out this time. Where do you get your inspiration from?
I mean, visually, it's whenever I see something that I think is better than what I can make, then I like freeze. I stop the video, if it's usually YouTube, stop it, and I will just copy it as much as I can. Or I'll watch like a bunch of YouTube videos. How do you do that? Like there's this video by Chris Williamson. You know him?
Mm-hmm. The podcaster?
Yeah.
Yep.
His video is better than any podcast I've seen. Like, it's just amazing. And he did a BTS video recently, like behind the scenes. And it reminded me of when I was like 16, I used to watch videos. I literally go like, pause, play, and look at every detail. I'll look at how the lights are positioned, how they're moved. I'll see this, I'll do that. And then I'll Google like, what's the best lights for this? What's the best this for this? So I'm just like, anything I see that I think is really good, I will just copy it. You know, I've seen like pictures in a magazine and I'll just take a picture of it. I'm like, that I really like the furniture of that, like boom. And then it's like people, you know, it's like people I hang out with that are just really inspiring and I'm learning from a lot. Friends, lucky enough to have some friends who have done really well. And so just learn lots of great little tips.
Who are your friends? And I don't mean literally list them and tell me their names and what they do, but who do you surround yourself with?
I think we realized the other day that every single one of our friendship group has got ADHD, and there's like 10 of us. I'm not really friends with anyone from home. I've got one friend really that I speak to from home. And
when you say home, Northampton?
Where I grew up, yeah, Northampton. And we're still good mates. We don't really speak, but we are good mates, you know. You know what it's like. I've just picked mates up along the way. You know, I lived in Oxford, met a few people, just really vibe with them. We're still mates now, you know. And I have probably like 10 friends. And I think the qualities for me are exactly what I've been saying. Like, they all have a passion. They're all usually pretty creative. And they're all really fun and super silly. Like, they have to be. I can't deal with serious people in my friendship group. I just can't. Like, I have to be able to be like, wah, and get excited and just be wild. And I want them to do the same. You know what I mean? Like, a good song comes on, I want to grab your shoulder and jump and dance. But then at the same time, I want to be able to have like a real vulnerable chat with you.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky that my male friendship group, we're really good at that. Like, my God, do we take the piss out of each other? Like, loads. But we also really compliment each other.
And you know when you need time and you talk.
Totally. And we are really vulnerable. And I have amazing chats with all of them about like how they're feeling about stuff. And I think that's quite rare in a male friendship group. It really is. Like
Well, I think it's just rare in all groups, to
do you
be fair.
think? I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like women are much better
I
at
think
talking about how they
some
feel.
women might be, but I don't. Well, within my world,
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's everyone across the board. I think there's certain people I would absolutely tell everything to,
Mm.
and then there's other people who know me on a superficial level.
Mm. Yeah. No, I could tell all my friends the same information about myself. But I'm a bit of an oversharer anyway, though.
Oh, so this works. The podcast is working
Totally.
for you.
Totally. Yeah.
So you've talked about and you brought up the fact that you had ADHD and you only got diagnosed a couple of years ago. How's that impacted you since you got diagnosed? Because you clearly didn't want to know as a teenager.
Yeah. It's life changing for sure. Like, I can't understate it enough. I didn't think it would be actually. The reason why I got the test was just to tell other people that I had it. It was just like, yeah, I've got ADHD, by the way. Like, oh, have you got the test? Yeah, I have. Okay, cool. I believe you now. Because, everyone sort of says, oh, I've got ADHD. It's like having OCD, oh, I've got OCD. Have you though? So that's why I did the test, but it was so worth it, man.
Why? What changed? What's changed for you apart from a certificate, a piece of paper validating that you have ADHD? What's it actually done for you?
It's eradicated the shame that comes with all the negative sides, and it's replaced it with like empowerment. So instead of going, I'm so forgetful, I forget everything all the time. Like, I hate that. Like, no one else is forgetting stuff. Why do I do that? I hate myself for that. Or, like birthdays, I forget my birthdays or names and just all this stuff. Or being distracted or having like really important conversations with people and I'm just thinking about something else and I'm like beating myself up, like, need to listen. And it works both ways. People are like, you're not listening to me. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm not. And they're like, why? You're so rude. And now it's like, oh no, this is like a neural chemical thing that's going on in my head. Fine. That's just part of my makeup. I am going to be quite forgetful for the rest of my life, no doubt. I am going to get distracted in conversations. That's okay. How do we now combat that?
Yeah.
It's like that's what's going on here. How are we going to make it better now? Instead of just beating myself up.
And before judging yourself.
Yeah. With no actual plan. Like, it's like having a football team and you're always beating up the defenders because they're letting goals through, but never working on trying to get them better. That's how it was before. And now I'm just like, oh no, right, I've got a bad defense. The defense is not great right now. Cool. And it's probably the players we've got, they're not that good. So let's just strengthen them. How can we do that? And so it's great. I mean, like, you've seen my phone case. Look at this guy. I love this guy. He's bright, he's big, he's red. He holds everything. The studio keys. It's got all of my other keys. It's got a zip specifically so the keys don't fall out. It's essential. It like super helps me out. I never am wasting time looking for keys, looking for wallets anymore. It's like little stuff like that, and I wouldn't have done that before the test, the ADHD diagnosis.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
You're probably the first person I've spoken to who shared the impact of being assessed and being diagnosed with it rather than just a label by which they live by.
Right.
And I think that's really interesting because you're now going to incorporate the way of living and the lessons learned into how you make your life better for yourself and the people around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, once you start learning about it, it's like you get like verbal diarrhea. You can't help but tell people about this stuff. I mean, I do a podcast literally on ADHD. It's called Distracted. I do it with my best friend called Kat. And we just talk for hours every single week about ADHD. And we're like growing a really nice community now. And it's honestly, there's so much that I'm learning every week that is ADHD related. And it's like another thing. Don't have to feel shame. How are we going to get better at it? There's a thing called RSD, where it's rejection sensitive dysphoria. It's huge. It's kind of only now just being talked about, where if someone tells you something negative, you instantly feel like the world's about to explode.
Yep.
And your heart sinks and you get all sweaty. I get that all my life. I've always get that. Oh, Jack, do you mind if we just have 15 minutes to have a chat? What have I done wrong? Oh my God, I'm going to get fired. God, every time.
Yeah. It doesn't. If no one explains why you want a 15-minute chat, it's like, shit, what have I done?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But now I know it's like, it will happen. The thing will happen. The same process will happen. I'll get, and then I'll just be like, oh yeah, ADHD. It's probably not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
Cool. And it's just that one extra bit can remove that spiral sometimes. Yeah. So it's been wicked.
And I'm assuming you record the podcast in this beautiful studio.
Yeah, I sit in this very seat. But we use the sofa because I like to sort of sit with my legs up here.
Of course you do.
I get really comfy with it. Yeah.
Amazing. What's the question I should have asked you that I haven't?
The best thing for me that I've found that's helped me the most with anything I've done with work is learning skills. It doesn't matter like what field it is. I just learn and obsess about a certain skill, and I've got that in my arsenal forever.
Yeah.
And it's made it so much faster to progress. I know how to do everything to do with the video, all the things to do with the lighting, all the audio. Most people in this whole industry really kind of just know about the one and a little bit about video. Because I know about all of it, I can do all of those jobs at the same time or split my work. And I think that's just so useful in really whatever career. Just get skills, man. And it's so easy now with YouTube. Every single video you can watch. And there's like 100, 200 creators all trying to make the best video in that specific area as well. So the videos are getting really good.
Yeah. They're getting better and better
so
every time.
Good.
Yeah.
So that would be like the work thing.
So continue learning. Don't give up and learn all the skills you possibly can and take on every opportunity.
Yeah. And in personal, I don't know. Maybe something to do with anxiety or something. I don't know. I've been very stressed recently.
Why?
Very stressed. More anxious than I've ever been. Oh my God.
Why?
It's this just starting this business. I've just a lot's happened. Like the business has started. I tore my ACL on my knee, so I can't do like any sports for a year really. I don't know, the whole parents thing, parents divorce, we had to get rid of my dog. Just like a lot of stuff sort of going on. And so I've had a lot of anxiety. But I'm kind of just telling myself like it will pass.
How do you manage that other than telling yourself it will pass? What are you doing that's good for you?
Telling friends.
Okay.
Telling my friends and exercising where I can. So I'm swimming. I've basically
started swimming.
I've realized that I can't exercise. I just can't. So I have to learn a new skill. Like I was just telling you.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good at swimming. So there's the skill. So I just do that and exercise is a subsidiary. That's why I used to do loads of jiu-jitsu. Because you're literally always a student. You're never going to be the best.
No.
So it's great. It's great. Like you're tricking yourself to do exercise.
Yeah.
So yeah, and talking to my mates about it it alleviates the anxiety a lot. And actually, I've got a friend who started a business a few years ago, and it's doing really well. And so I just speak to him all the time, and he's got ADHD, so it's like perfect.
It's also making sure that when you're starting out a new business, it can be really, really lonely. And so just making sure you went back to community and what you're building for the future. Make sure you surround yourself. And again, this isn't an advice session, but make sure you surround yourself with people who you can just touch base with, because it's a bloody lonely place when you start.
So true. It's so true. Out. Especially it's just me. I'm in this studio in basically a dark room for 8 hours a day.
Yep.
You know, and like I'm doing it all on the emails, doing the edits, doing this, and that's fine. That's part of it, and I know it. I'm kind of just trying to remind myself as much as I can. Like, eventually there will be other staff here that can do bits. Like, you don't have to do everything, but right now I do have to do everything. Like, I need to get it past the line. But I'm getting people in now, and it's starting to ease off a little bit. And I'm also figuring out what I don't like more and what I do really like. Even though I kind of knew it, now I really know.
Yep.
And so I'm starting to get freelancers in to do those bits more.
Yep.
So I can spend less time doing it and do more of the fun stuff that I like.
And do more of the stuff that's going to help you build, because
Yeah.
that's ultimately what you want to do. And honestly, it's a fab studio. It's a fab space. It's a fab, the flexibility of it is awesome.
Thank you.
We started this conversation with who is Jack.
Yeah.
We're going to go back round. Is there anything you would add, change, or alter to who is Jack?
No. I know that's a boring answer, but I don't think so. I think I know who I am, and I think I said to my dad when I was like 22, 23, just randomly, I was like, Dad, I've kind of got to the age where it's only 22, but I was like, I kind of got to the age where, if I meet people and they don't really like me, I don't really care about that because I know who I am, and maybe it's them who's weird. That's what I said to him. And then last year, my dad brought that back up and he repeated that to me. And he said, honestly, son, that was the proudest I've ever been when you said that, because it showed me that you have become like a man. You're so confident in yourself. And once you're confident in yourself and who you are, you can do anything. And that for me was huge because, first of all, my dad doesn't really listen ever. He doesn't remember anything I've ever said. And he remembered this line and repeated it like 6 years later. And it's always stuck with me. So I think, I kind of feel like I do know a lot of who I am. So I'm not going to change what I said at the start.
And you should be really proud of the fact that he said that back to you.
I know, it's
what an
cute.
Amazing story.
It's so cute. He helped me build this wall, man.
Oh.
We built it, the soundproof wall on the side. We built it together. It was awesome.
You've got a lot of love and admiration for your dad.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, he's worked really hard. Yeah, there's a lot I absolutely can't stand about the guy, but he will always, if you ask him a question, he will always try and answer the most honestly he can. You can see him. He'll like pause and think and answer, And I've always respected that.
And has your relationship with him got better over the years?
I'd say it was good. And then after the therapy, it got much worse because I was basically kind of confronting him. You get in these like cycles and patterns with your family members and your friends. You sort of all fall into that pattern and cycle when you see them. And the therapy completely knocked down its head. Like I said, like broke all the rose tinted glasses. And then I started sort of making these new demands of my dad. Like, I want you to contact me more. I want you to ring me more. I want
you to be part of my life.
I want you to be part of my life. And my dad literally, he said this to me. I don't think he'll mind me saying. I was like, Dad, I feel like you see raising a child like a bird raises its chicks. Like, you feed them, you give them the stuff, and as soon as they can fly, see you later. I've done my job. And he was like, yeah, to be fair. And that's kind of how he sees it. But I don't blame him because that's what he had. He'd never had a dad. He doesn't know. Yeah. So I get it. And him like building the wall with me, that was his way of showing me like that he cares, that he loves me. And so it's got better. Yeah, for sure. I'm learning about how he shows love, And
also accepting who he is part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, not just resenting them for what they've done in the past, which is definitely what I went through for months and months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for jumping in and sharing.
Totally fine.
And good luck with it all. It's going to be amazing.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. You're a great interviewer. Really, genuinely, it's really nice to. I'm sat over there usually. It's nice to be on the other side. You really listen. It's great.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, I know. It's impressive though. I mean, you should see my interview style. So what are you asking again?
If you enjoyed that conversation, please share A Class of Their Own podcast with your friends and family. Subscribe, follow and like. It really helps us continue to grow. Keep being you through connection, learning and play. You are a class of your own.